Okay, Randy, you're on.
Morning, everybody. Welcome to the Friday edition of Richardson Plano Networkers. I'm going to do something different today. I'm going to introduce Dave Roberts, who is then going to team with our guest, whom he will introduce. And I'll be brief. Most of you know Dave Roberts is the Vision Warrior, and we've seen very, very many different faces of the Vision Warrior. And the thing that's really good about David, he's always thinking, he's always looking at ways to improve the group, to offer more opportunities for each of us to help us become better vision warriors. He's the host of one of the fastest growing podcasts, Warrior versus Zombie, and always soon to be bestseller author of Vision of the Vision Warrior Survive and Thrive in the Zombie Apocalypse. Apocalypse.
Apocalypse. Yeah. Good job, Randy. Thank you. Appreciate that. So in a minute, I'm going to introduce our speaker, but I want to introduce the series that we're going. For those who were on earlier, you kind of heard a little bit about the series. But one of the things, if you listen to my podcast, you understand what I'm saying. I'm known as a vision warrior, but I view all you entrepreneurs, all you small business owners, artists, whatever it is, as warriors, and we all have our own inner zombie, and there's zombies like coronavirus and things that impact our lives. But we, as warriors, we kind of power through. And so I believe that a true warrior is always looking forward and always looking for new opportunities. So if you reflect back, I don't know how everybody else was, but if you heard my talk kind of kicking off the series on getting through COVID and then ultimately coming out of it, you know that I made a reference to, 2008 was a major blow up in my life. And but during that last economic downturn, which we are in an economic downturn, by the way, guys, just so you know, the top five companies were Exxon, GE, Microsoft, AT&T, and Procter and Gamble. 10 years later, that was 2018 or 2 years ago, the top five companies were Apple, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and Facebook. That was the top five. Notice Microsoft was the only one that was in the top five over that 10 years. So obviously a lot of changes happened in the world in those 10 years. And I predict, not much of a stretch, that in the next 10 years, there'll be the top five companies or the top five technologies and the things we do. Things like, Apple, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, and other companies really flourished in that 10 years and continue to flourish right now. It's like, Uber, Lyft, Airbnb, Netflix, they emerged. So one of the things that occurred to me as I was not only working with doing some of these talks, but also working with some of my clients and having a lot of conversations was, now is a beautiful time for us to look at opportunities on the horizon, things that maybe were around when this whole thing started, but maybe something has changed or maybe there's opportunities there. So I've started looking for those myself. And so as I've uncovered some, and I'm sure others will be brought to my attention. And it could be changes within industries, doesn't mean a new industry. But I think that change always brings opportunity. And I think the bigger the change, the bigger opportunities are out there. So during this series that we're going to have, and it's not going to necessarily be every week, but we're going to have a series of talks. So this isn't the last, this is actually the first in a series, because I believe, in areas like technology, education, communication, obviously we're using Zoom and these kinds of things, health and wellness, obviously we're worried about our health more, social connection, how do we build business and connect, those kinds of things. Commerce, how are we going to do business? How are we going to buy, sell, do those things? All of those things present opportunities. And so to the extent that we can share some of those and get smarter on some of those during these sessions is what we want to accomplish. So today, I'm going to encourage you, as I said in the discussion of this series, is double lock your zombies cage. Remember what I talked about. Your zombie wants to pull you back into your comfort zone. Your zombie wants to keep you where you were, as opposed to being the warrior that you are to push forward. So double lock the cage, because we all have one. We're all infected. we all have this process that we go through. We hear something, we say, oh, that's pretty exciting. Oh, now let me think about that. Okay, no, unlock the cage, think about possibilities, because if you believe in yourself, you believe in possibilities. If you don't believe in yourself, you probably don't believe in possibilities. So I'm assuming everybody here is believing in possibilities. So with that, I want to introduce Rob Griffin. I've gotten to know Rob actually very well since the last time he shared with this group, which he kind of shared his point of view on podcasting. And the thing I love about Rob, and I've come to love about Rob, is he is probably the most serving and authentic person that I've one of the most serving and authentic people I've come across. And part of that probably comes from he was a public servant. He's a former police officer, and he was there many years in Las Vegas. He had a career, ended his career as a counterterrorism expert, and he'll talk a little bit probably about how that came to an end, but it was a good end. And then for the last 11 years, Rob, he's run his own small business. He runs 2 successful podcasts. Rob is a big part of why I'm doing Warrior versus Zombie podcast, because I did the first 3 episodes in studio that he had made happen, and continue to do it live or do it via Zoom as much as possible. But one of the things in his podcast journey, and this is the cool thing about a warrior, it's not a destination, where you're going, it's a journey. And in his podcast journey, one of the things I learned about when he was mentoring me on the podcast is that he ran across a company called Survivor. The end of that name is VR, and he's become kind of an expert in the field of at least the application and use of virtual reality and augmented reality. So that's what he's going to be sharing with us today, educating us a little bit on that industry, and then also if there's time or whatever, at least we'll get an idea, because there's a very cool thing happening on the 1st of June that I want him to. Don't forget, Rob, to make sure you share about that. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to open up the screen sharing, Rob. I know you're not going to do it immediately, but I'm opening it up now, again, to avoid any kind of, or minimize the chance of a hack. So here, you can share when you're ready. So Rob Griffin, let's all give him a virtual hand.
Oh, how kind of you. So David, you're an amazing guy. And the fact that these guys get to work with you and learn from you in your group is really, don't take it for granted. I think God puts people in our life for a reason. And I think he communicates to human beings through other human beings. And I don't believe that any of us are here by accident. I think that he lined it up a long time ago. And I think we need to appreciate that every day, that we get out of our house and go meet and interact with others, that don't take those relationships for granted. I think everything does sincerely happen for a reason. So I'm very blessed to call you my friend, and very happy to be here with you guys today. And I hope that my short little talk will give you some insight into an emerging technology. But before I get into all that, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about my story. Some of you know this already, so bear with me. Many of you don't. So let me go back. David said 2008, his life got turned upside down. So did mine. I lived in Las Vegas. My beautiful bride down there, you see her listed as GPS 200. Her real name is Chica, and she's hot. Anyway, she and I were literally, our life got turned upside down. I was an undercover cop in Las Vegas, Nevada. And if you understand police work, let me tell you a little bit about that. I started as a patrol officer, so I did about 3.5 years as a first responder. I made detective in 2006. Did financial crimes for a little while. In 2008, they asked me to go undercover. So I worked undercover in Las Vegas, Nevada for 6 years. Can you imagine? I might have a story or two to tell you. I did it all, from vice, narcotics, organized crime. I bought several $1 million worth of property from a fraudulent seller. I've been undercover in an outlaw biker gang playing poker with a captain of arms with the Hells Angels. I bought $10,000 worth of dope from the Mexican cartel. And I went undercover at a gypsy wedding serving drinks, where I arrested the father of the groom. That's just a little bit of what I've done, okay? So I got more of those stories. Let's grab a beer one day and I'll tell you all of it. Anyway, so long story short, our life got turned upside down in 2008 when the economy crashed. And my wife and I got involved in a part-time home-based business, direct sales industry. And we worked very hard out of necessity, not because we really wanted to do it, but because we were in financial meltdown. And as a result of this amazing part-time opportunity, taking advantage of good timing, I was able to retire from my police career 13 years ahead of schedule. So put a price tag on getting 13 years of your life back. Like it's priceless. Like now I used to never see my children. Now I almost see them too much. Like, Dad, don't you got an appointment? Don't you got something to go do? A real blessing. So anyway, I relocated to Texas. I love it here, by the way. Tyler, you should move here as well. I'm just kidding. Anyway, I absolutely love living in North Texas. And we moved here because of quality of life. I wanted to get out of Sin City. I wanted to be around good people where I didn't have to be ashamed of sharing the fact that I love God and that kind of thing. I love the fact that we're here. So anyway, relocated to North Texas. And my wife and I were building our little business and we were doing rather well. I started a podcast. And the podcast was a little over 2 years ago. And I was interviewing these young men who were computer programmers, self-described geeks, who had built a virtual reality platform where they were building things for physical therapy. Like imagine if you wanted to regain your motion and you could throw a ball that's not there or hit a ball that's not there using a VR headset. And then I would interview them on my podcast and I said, man, you guys are very talented. I said, have you ever considered using this technology to train the law enforcement? He's like, well, what do you mean? I go, well, you put me in a cave with a zombie. Couldn't you put me in school with an active shooter? Or couldn't you put me on a traffic stop with some bad dudes in the car? And they said, well, yeah, we can do that. And I said, well, let's do that. So we came up with this crazy idea. We called it Survivor. So think of the word survivor, take the O out at the end so that it ends in VR. So go look it up, survivor.com. And we entered it into the Big Idea competition at UT Dallas. They have this contest every year. There were 264 entries and we won the entire contest. We got $30,000 in prize money. We used that money to bootstrap and build Survivor, which now is selling into the United States Air Force. We have now, we're working on a contract with the Department of Homeland Security. I just flew home from Madison, Wisconsin last night, and we're closing a couple more police departments over there. And I'm saying all that to simply say this. VR and AR are the future, and they're coming in a big way. Now, I've been in direct sales for 12 years. About fall of last year, my mentor, my personal mentor, a gentleman you'll hear about later, his name is Danny Bay. He spells his last name B-A-E, like Baker Adam Edward, for those of you who know phonetics. And I found out he had separated from the same company that I was part of, and he was going to be building his own company. And I called him and I said, what kind of company are you building, Danny? He goes, I'm building a virtual reality company. And like, you could have knocked me over with a feather. I'm like, shut up. Really? VR? I said, I'm doing VR. He said, really? And so I flew to Vegas. I met with him. He explained what was coming. He explained that they're going to be launching it on June 1st. So if you're taking notes, write down that date, June 1st. And I got so excited that I freaked out. I called my wife and said, babe, you need to hear about what's going on. So I'm going to give you some educational piece about VR, AR, just so you understand the industry. And at the very, very end, I'll let you know just a little tidbit about what Mr. Bay is doing in case you're interested in taking advantage of good timing. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Give me 1 second. Okay, there we go. Okay, so virtual reality, augmented reality. How many of you guys think that that's going to be a part of our future? By a show of hands. I'd be willing to bet that all of us can agree, especially now. And I would say it was going to happen regardless. But now that COVID has hit and the world has been turned upside down, people, I would say 6 months ago, or I would say a year ago, no one was mentioning virtual anything. Now it's a part of everyday conversation. Virtual reality, augmented reality has certainly become something that's very prevalent in our current society. But let's talk about technology as a whole, right? Think back when the very first cell phone came around. I know I had one. How about you guys? Like I had the bag phone. Anybody else have the bag phone besides me? And then we got the big brick phone. Remember those days? And before that, Tyler, I know you weren't born yet, but this is just used to be called the brick phone. You could Google it, and it's a big, ugly thing. It was weighed about 3 pounds. Anyway, and then with the advent of the smartphone, that came around in 2010 when the first big smartphone hits, and then 4G came, and now look where we're headed, VR, AR, 5G, exciting times. But let's talk about VR specifically, the actual industry of that. Atari got involved in VR back in 1980. Did you guys realize it was that old? It's been around for a very long time. And then Sega got involved in 91. Then they came out with this thing called the Cube Room, which was basically an elaborate projection system that would allow you to stand in the middle of all these projected screens to make you feel like you were in a virtual world, but it wasn't immersive because it was screen-based, okay? And then in 2014, Oculus was acquired by a little company you might have heard of called Facebook for the price tag of $2 billion. That's with a B, folks, $2 billion. In the same year, Google launched what's called the Cardboard VR. Now, let me explain to you something. How many of you have tried VR before? Show of hands, okay? And when I say VR, I don't mean the cardboard VR, okay? Because cardboard VR is not VR, folks. Cardboard VR is you staring at your cell phone really close, okay? You have to have the proper type of equipment to fully experience virtual reality, and staring at a phone inserted into anything is not VR. Because the VR headsets have unique, this is one called the HTC Vive. You might can see inside there, the lenses are concave. And this particular headset, by the way, requires a very expensive gaming PC just to run it. To run my HTC Vive, I have to have a powerful gaming PC. The headset and all that stuff is a little over $2,000. Now you get an amazing experience, but it's costly, okay? And then of course, 2015, Samsung announced the Gear, and then obviously Sony got involved. And then Oculus started releasing all of their line of headsets. I'm telling you, man, if you haven't really experienced VR, you're in for one heck of a treat. And I'm saying, and please don't take this the wrong way. If you've experienced the ghetto version of VR, meaning the cell phone piece or a lesser quality product, like if your headset that you put on your head was less than a few $100s, it's what we would consider the lower end of the spectrum and not the best way for you to experience virtual reality. Now, the industry itself, let's talk about VR in a couple of different worlds. Virtual reality itself is already a multi-billion-dollar industry. Is anticipated to go to over 800 billion in the next 5 years of time. It's going to grow 30 times what it is today. So if I were an investor in the stock market, that would be something that would pique my interest. But also in the business world, if you had the opportunity to take advantage of that, would you want to jump on it or at least learn about it, right? Let's talk also about e-learning. E-learning has become so prevalent today that it is mind-boggling. Like, think about what our children are doing. Like, I have 2 kids that are still in school, and they jump on every day. They're doing Google Classroom, okay? And because they can't go to class. But the problem is now they're forcing parents like myself and my wife to try to become a teacher. I'm not a teacher, man. I'm a police officer, right? Like, and so imagine if we had virtual reality, we could put it on their face, and now my son could sit in the classroom with his classmates, with his teacher, without worrying about contamination, but still get the same type of learning. Do you know that they say that when you learn in a virtual environment, you will actually capture 40% more information than someone who sat in a classroom, watched it on a Zoom, or watched a video? Because of one word. It's called focus. Because once you're immersed, you can't see anything else. And that's the beauty of VR and why it is such an amazing learning tool. You add into that e-commerce, forget about it. Mr. Bay and his company, they're going to be building the world's first ever virtual reality, augmented reality e-commerce platform that will allow you to experience before you purchase. Like, literally try on the sunglasses before you buy them. Like, try on the jacket, try on your shoes, and you'll be able to superimpose things on your body and then click order, and it shows up at your front door. Really, really exciting times. Now, the big boys are getting involved. You might have heard of Facebook buying Oculus. We mentioned that already. Did you know that Apple just acquired a VR company just recently? Go Google it, okay? And they're getting involved. In fact, Apple's going to be releasing its first augmented reality headset this calendar year, okay? And Google's getting involved also. Now, some people say, well, Rob, since the big boys are getting involved, are you concerned about competition? And the short answer is no, we're not. Because all this really does is it validates the direction we're going and the space that we're heading into. So really, really exciting time for us, because Mr. Bay's company will be selling their stuff as well, which is really, really exciting. Now, there's a lot of uses for VR. The one that really, really freaked me out when I first experienced it, and Chica can tell you a little bit of a testimony about this, because she had never tried virtual reality. I brought the headset home. I said, babe, check this out. And I threw her into an app called Google Earth VR that allows you to literally put this headset on and then fly like friggin' Superman all over the world, land on the ground, and experience our planet or outer space like you never have before. I have a real short video that I am going to share with you. Hold on, let me make sure that I included the audio. Give me 1 second, stand by. I just want to make sure when I did that, I included the audio. I did not. Hold on 1 second. I'm just fixing that. This will take a second. Okay, so I'm going to play this short video for you, and then I'll be right back. Oops. Nope, sorry. I was trying to turn up the volume. Stand by. Now you got to admit that that's pretty cool. Okay. And so who else uses VR? They use it for training, like the military is using it. The law enforcement community is using it. Let me just tell you what's going on for my company. The state of California just issued a $5 million RFP to buy VR systems for their police agencies in the state of California. We're also working with the United States Air Force. They're combining to get funds right now of $100 million that they're going to invest in what? Virtual reality. NASA is using it. Our fire departments are using it. It is certainly an amazing training tool. Not only are they getting involved, but also we have bigger, retail outlets like KFC. They train their employees now. Kentucky Fried Chicken, they have an app that shows the guy putting the chicken out and putting it in the fryer. It's crazy. Walmart uses VR to train their associates for customer service. And then you have medical students that are learning how to do surgeries using virtual reality. Unbelievable. And then you add into the construction industry. Again, the whole key here, folks, is focus, safety, and building a system that is good for all the employees. And also virtual real estate is another big piece. I'm telling you, in the very near future, people aren't going to be going to realtor.com or Redfin anymore to go see their houses. They're going to be putting on a virtual headset and then stepping right into that living room. Can you imagine walking, click a button and now you're standing in the kitchen and you can look at the countertops. My wife is school picky about that kind of stuff. Make sure the appliances are the right type. You know what I mean? And then click another button and now I'm in the master bedroom. And it's not like watching it on a 2D screen. I am standing in the room. That is what really gets people fired up and excited about VR and where it's headed. In the very future, you're not going to have to drive to the car dealership to experience that vehicle. You'll be able to do it through a virtual reality car showroom and even literally a virtual reality test drive in the very near future. That's going to be an opportunity available as well. But here's the piece that really got me excited. VR for education and for other things like networking. So there are a lot of people in America right now that are infirmed and they can't travel because of their health. Like my mother is one of them. And she had a bucket list of a lot of things she wanted to go experience. I cannot wait to put that headset on her and say, Mommy, remember how you always wanted to go see the pyramids in Egypt? Well, we're going to go there right now. And she's going to be like, what do you mean? And I'm going to put that headset on her and she's going to say what everybody else says. She's going to say, wow. Can you imagine what we can do for people who are stuck in wheelchairs? And now they will be able to go skateboarding and go ride BMX and go down the craziest trails as if they were really on that bike. That's going to be magical. We already talked about the educational piece, but I also want to talk about my wife for just a second. Her mother lives in Tokyo. She is adverse to technology. She's not good with computers and stuff like that. But we're going to be able to do networking unlike we've never networked before. You can put on a VR headset and use an app that's called VR Engage. Look it up. Engage. It's like I'm getting engaged. Okay. And I can literally now go network with my friends and family all over the world, but literally meet them in a virtual space, sit down in the same room with them and maybe watch a movie or play a game or just hang out and chat. Now my mother-in-law is going to be able to sit down and talk with my wife, talk with her grandkids that live literally on the other side of planet Earth in the same room and just have quality time like we've never have experienced before. So I tell you, this just gets me all giddy. So to give you a little bit of an insight on Mr. Bay's business and what we're going to be doing, it's going to be launching on June 1st. It has a tremendous compensation plan attached to it. It has a tremendous money-making opportunity. But we're not here to sell you on it. We just wanted to let you know what was going on, just in case you thought, man, this might be the next new wave, and I sure as heck don't want to miss it. I'm going to play a really short video, and then at the end, I'll do Q&A with you guys if you want to ask me any questions, and I'll be right back after this.
Have you ever wondered what it would be like to be ahead of the technology curve, to be part of the shift? Instead of watching from the sidelines, to actually know what's next instead of just wondering? Now think about if you could participate in and earn money off of the technology of the future today. Well, now's your chance. Welcome to GPS. I'm Danny Bay, chairman and co-founder of this innovative company. We're transforming the way people communicate, learn, grow, and experience life through our groundbreaking VR and AR technology. GPS offers the world's best all-in-one VR headset Pico G2 that delivers an unparalleled experience. Think VR and AR are just for gamers? Think again. We partnered with VRLU to bring you the world's first VR personal development and entertainment content platform that takes you beyond your imagination and puts you inside the action with the most respected, sought-after industry experts. Imagine making dinner in the kitchen with America's hottest chef, learning to shoot a basket side-by-side legendary athletes, not just watching a concert, but actually experiencing it with all your senses. GPS is making it all possible and more. The VR industry is already worth over $27 billion and is well on its way to being worth over $800 billion in the next 5 years alone. Remember when cell phones were for the rich and famous and people were shopping inline, not online? Now we can't imagine our lives without these things. That's the future of VR, with millions of homes already using this technology and millions more waiting to try it. And businesses are getting in on the action too, with major retailers already using VR to train and onboard employees and to give customers an opportunity to experience before purchasing. It's not a question of if, it's simply a matter of when. And through the innovative yet proven GPS business model, we're empowering people just like you to build a business, be your own boss, become a leader in a new commerce that's growing at a rate of 30 times over. By simply sharing this incredible technology, you're positioned to earn income right now off the future of how people live, work, and play. With GPS, that's not virtual reality, it's just reality, and it's yours to experience. Get ready to upgrade your reality and your life with GPS.
Okay, well, that's all I had for you today. I'm sure you might have a couple of questions, and I would love to field those if you guys want to ask me anything about augmented reality or virtual reality. Go ahead, Randy.
Okay, so
All right, thanks.
I'll try and do it. Randy, go ahead.
Great presentation. Really appreciate it. Just one quick question. You didn't really talk about the difference between VR and AR. Could you explain that a little?
Oh yes, thank you for reminding me. I apologize. So if you don't know the difference between VR uses a headset like this, okay? Meaning once you're in it, you cannot see out of it, right? It's literally just you're in a 100% artificial world, and so it's either done with 360 video or it's done with software technology that they typically build on a gaming engine called Unity. But anyway, but that's what VR is. Augmented reality is the mixture of both, meaning I have a lens that I can see through, like the one Apple's getting to release very soon. It allows you to, like, it mixes the artificial world with your real world. So like literally, I can put this headset on and I can still see my living room. But if I'm looking to shop for a couch, I can grab a couch, drop it in my living room, and see it in the real space, as if it were really there. So I could see if it fit in the corner in my house perfectly. And that's also the beauty of augmented reality. It allows you to do the online shopping. Like literally click a button and it puts a suit on you. And it can literally map your body to make sure that it fits properly. Like, how crazy is that? Like, Chica just bought me a jacket a couple months ago. They shipped it to my house and it was too small. Like, it wouldn't have been nice to be able to try it on virtually before they ever shipped it to my house. So that's the difference. One is mixed and one is fully VR or fully immersive. Anybody else?
Any other questions? Just Dick Buck, go ahead.
Is there going to be a day when there's going to be something other than the goggles, the headsets, or whatever you want to call them. I don't know what it would be, but I just wonder if there will eventually be something even simpler than that.
The short answer is yes. It's already there. Like when Apple releases theirs, it looks like sunglasses. I mean, it's crazy. Like you'll see in the very near future. Like Chica and I were just talking about this the other night. I would say 10 years from now, it might even just be a contact lens. Like that's where we're headed. It's going to be magical. And what a blessing that we're here at this time to be able to witness it. It's going to be a lot of fun to see.
Thank you.
Sure.
Pat, you want to?
What about the price point on the augmented reality?
So it depends. That's a very emerging new technology. I haven't got the skinny on what Apple's going to be charging for theirs. There was another one called the Magic Leap. That was the first prototype of an augmented reality headset. But I'll be honest with you, that one it was the first one, and so it's problematic. But I think with Apple releasing theirs, it's going to be unbelievable. But let me tell you though, like the Pico, the one that we sell through Mr. Bay's company, at least the initial one, has a $500 price tag. The one that I'm holding here was $1,000. Okay, but here's the irony behind that. This is several years old. This right now is not even as good as the Pico, and it was double the price. So technology is getting better, and the price points are coming down. Plus, this one has to be attached to a computer, right? So this is really $2,000, versus what the Pico, because the Pico is a standalone VR headset. It doesn't require a computer. It works off of Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. And so the price points are coming down because technology is getting better.
Dave Mandela.
Yeah, quick question. What is the percentage of population that cannot use VR because of severe reaction to the unmatch between the visual and the sensor surround? Now, they can use AR, but VR is a real problem for a certain percentage of people.
So I would say early VR was a big problem, but it's improved. Like there was a lot of people in the early days that couldn't handle it because of nausea, and they would get sick from motion sickness and stuff like that. But that I would equate that to like really bad product, right? Like so when I talk to people, I travel all over the United States now, and I'm doing demos, and people are like, "Oh, I can't do VR. I got sick last time I did it," and that tells me they either had a really bad headset or they had really bad content. And because what happens is if they have poor content and a poor headset, the motion sickness and the nausea and all that comes from when they try to move, it's not syncing with what they see. And so if you have a professionally produced content with a high quality headset, we don't have any nausea. Like I've done demos for police agencies, hundreds of them, and I've had yet to have one officer even say, "Man, I got dizzy," because it just doesn't happen because we have good content and a good headset.
What else? Mako, go ahead.
Hey, Rob, have you ever tried the Void over at Cinemark, that virtual reality?
I have not, but I'm familiar with what they do over there. They have a good setup, and so it's great, but it's, to build something like that is extremely expensive. A lot of money they spent there, but it's if you've never tried it, you should certainly go. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, for about $20-25, if you guys want to just get a feel for what it's like, just right up the street on Parker and Atoa. It's really cool, really cool.
Yeah, or if you want a free version, just stop by my house and I'll throw you in there.
Dick.
Is this a market that's going to consolidate to being a few providers, or is it going to broaden out and have, lots of providers doing slightly different things?
Granted, I can't predict the future. I can tell you what's happening in the VR space where I operate. There are 4 major players that are in the VR space for law enforcement, and they're all startups. They're all 2 to 3 years old, and we're all like got a trajectory like this. Now, my company is one of the better ones, and I'm saying that a little biased, but we're also winning more deals than there are. But I would tell you, but with Mr. Bay's business, GPS, the beautiful thing behind that is he's not married to a single headset. He's literally going to be like a marketing platform for all of these providers. Like in the future, we'll be selling with Apple and Samsung and all those things. And so that's the beauty of what GPS is doing. I would dare say GPS better than Survivor, because Survivor can only sell Survivor. With GPS, we're going to be able to go sell everybody. I know, Tyler, you had a question. Go ahead.
So do you think, like you mentioned before, that you allowed some law enforcement people to try it? Do you think there's a specific industry that would like benefit the most from it? Like I understand Apple's going to sell it and, consumers are going to use it, but they're going to more like, they're going to have fun with it. They're not going to really like use it for, productive things. So like, is there an industry that you think would benefit the most from VR?
Well, I think training is obviously where it's headed because of the allow people to digest more information and retain more information. So I think as a training tool and educational tool, that will probably be the number one use, I think, by far. But then what's going to happen with augmented reality is e-commerce. Because like now that's going to open up a shopping platform that is, we're going to shop in ways we never even thought we could. And that's going to open up to not just one particular industry. There'll be a lot of players. Like I have a call tomorrow with the owner of Keller Williams Realty. Like you might have heard of that company called Keller Williams. And they're looking to partner with GPS and Mr. Bay so they can get all their listings in VR. Can you imagine being the first real
That's
estate
crazy.
company?
Yeah, so you don't have to go to the house, right?
Yep.
Yes. And think about the safety for the real estate agents. They don't have to
Yeah.
risk their life anymore meeting with strangers. There's so many applications, is mind-boggling.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Randy, go ahead.
In the last video, the GPS video, I sensed that there was the opportunity for either an investment opportunity or a business opportunity. Can you expand?
And short answer is yes. So remember I told you I started a part-time business and retired early from my police career. It was a network marketing company that I got started with, my wife and I did. And within 3 years, I replaced my detective salary. GPS is a direct sales / network marketing company that's basically giving people the opportunity to be one of the first movers, first influencers to be part of this explosion of virtual reality. And so there is a very small investment required if you want to do it, but the particular income opportunity is mind-boggling. Like, we'll go over that later in private. I don't want to do that here, but if you're interested, in fact, I'm doing a webinar tonight at 7 o'clock our time. And I can give you the code, or I can get it to David and he can share it with the group.
Why don't you actually, Rob, before you get off, either you or Chica or somebody, if you could post it's a Zoom link. If you could post that on this chat, then that'll give people the ability. It's kind of like what we normally do with speakers. Yeah, if you can post that link, then that'll be kind of like the follow-up link if there's to an offer. And I appreciate you, sharing that, because frankly, I was actually, I got kind of excited about the whole VR thing, and I've actually been, looking at, some financial investment in that space, because it's going to be, it's kind of like Zoom going from, 10 million subscribers to 350 million. All of us, this whole thing has kind of spawned a whole lot of other things. Back to one of the questions about Apple, for example, I got into Apple, I was into Apple very early, but I got into Apple predominantly because they're a major mover in education. I can't imagine Apple going into VR and not also, they've got such a rich content base that they they're in the classrooms already. They're Apple one-to-one programs and stuff. So I mean, I just think there's all kinds of things. So the thing that interested me about kind of what you were talking about was, frankly, the tech is cool, but what really makes Apple work, or some of these things sing, if you will, to me, is the content. And that whatever, what's it called, like VR Lou or whatever you mentioned, or whatever, that learning
Virtual
platform.
Reality Learning University.
Yeah, see, that to me, and then other types of services, that's where I think the real opportunity, the application. I've always, and Paul Recchia, who's known me probably longer than anybody on the call, will tell you that I've always been looking for application of technology, even when I was at Accenture, and everything in my career has been not about the technology itself, but in fact what it enables us to do. So that's the thing that gets me geeked up about what you're talking about. Any other questions for Rob? Mark Weber, go ahead. I saw you, Gene. I'll come to you next. Go ahead, Mark.
I was curious about an audio aspect to go along with the video. Is there the headsets?
All right, sorry, can you say that again? I'm sorry, we're trying to get that Zoom code for you guys. What was the question one more time?
Ear headset or earbuds or something that kind of puts you more in that environment?
Of course, the short answer is yes. There is an audio component as well, which is the beauty of it, because it's if you've never experienced real VR, and I'm not trying to talk bad about the inferior equipment, but it's just a different experience, right? And so the short answer is there is an audio component, and that's the beauty of it. The audio is spatial audio. And so like if you hear something over there, it works just like you're in a theater with surround sound. Like if you hear a bird over there and you look, the bird will be sitting there, right? And so, yes, there is an audio and it is spatial. So it's directional. So you know where the things are coming from. It's really amazing.
Gene, go ahead. Do you want to unmute yourself or?
Yeah. Off topic. What happened to drinking with dummies? Did you have a virtual version?
Oh, I need to have that.
We're going to be doing another episode, Gene. Thank you for that plug. drinkingfordummies.com. Go look it up. Where we hang out. We're doing it with Zoom right now, where we do a Drinking for Dummies show, which, well, that's for another day. We'll get you that. Go drinking4dummies.com and you'll get all the intel you need there. Anybody else?
Any other?
The Zoom code is in the chat now, by the way.
Yeah, so if you have Zoom, you just, the meeting is 945-4384-1907. And there's no password, right? Just
no password, just log in. It's a webinar. And we have a really cool guy who's going to be on the call with me tonight. Have you ever heard the name Napoleon Hill? Does anybody know who that is?
Oh, yeah.
Anybody not know who that is? Okay. So Napoleon Hill wrote one of the best-selling financial books of all time. It was called Think and Grow Rich. There it is. Thanks, Pat. Very nice. And so the gentleman that's going to be on the call with me tonight, his name is Delmar Williams. He was actually a personal student of Mr. Napoleon Hill for 8 years. And Del is in his late 70s, but he will be on the call with me as well, explaining why he thinks GPS will be the biggest thing. In fact, he described it to me and my wife as saying that if we take a part of this and we do it right, we could set up not ourselves, but 5 generations removed financially if we take advantage of this magical timing. So Mr. Williams will be on that call as well tonight. In case you wanted to hear from a legend, it'd be a really cool thing to jump in and listen to him.
One of the questions, Rob, for me is how long is that? How much time do I mean? Friday evening. How much time do I need to allocate for?
So the presentation is probably about 28 minutes, and then Mr. Williams will close out 3 to 5 minutes. So you're talking a half an hour-ish at tops. So okay. It's not a long thing. It's just. It's
not an evening event.
No. It was a Friday night, and I want to go have fun, and I'm sure you do too. So we're going to do it.
Can we do the drinking for dummies afterwards? Because that'd be okay.
That's not a bad idea.
I'll join that Zoom afterwards too.
I love it.
Hey, I'm Irish, man. You offer me a beer or alcohol, I'm in, bro. I'm like, sign this dude up. In moderation, I must say.
In moderation, yeah. Yes. Safely spaced. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions? This has been great. Thank you. This has been a lot of fun. Any other questions? I'm kind of looking at the grid. I don't see anybody waving. Okay, so let's give Rob a virtual hand, and you can tell him thank you after we officially end the meeting. Again, I'm going to make a plea to everybody here, coming for next week especially, but going forward for the Wednesday meeting. What I'm going to ask is that you RSVP, whether you're going to be on the meetup, whether you're going to be on Zoom or in the room. And if you're planning to be in the room on meetup, I'm going to ask you to do an extra step. And if you don't, and whatever, that's okay. Except that if we get over 20, if we get over the number of people we can handle in the room, you may have to sit outside the room and walk in, or whatever. You might have to eat outside the room or something, because we really have to maintain the safe space and stuff there, just to be compliant and to be respectful of everybody. So we're going to do that, but we're still going to do this Fridays via Zoom. So Fridays, you can just mark it on your calendar. Don't have to say, okay, this Friday we're going to be via Zoom. Fridays are going to be via Zoom from now on out. So Tyler, you can mark it on your calendar. We're going to be here on Fridays, so you can visit. You can come in from New York and invite your friends. But on Wednesdays, it'll be a hybrid meeting for the foreseeable future. So it's not going to be just in the room, because there's some people that want to come on Wednesday. So you'll be able to come there, as Rob has said, virtually or in person. It'd be nice to have VR headsets, and then we could be sitting in the room and I could look around and see, I'm thinking about this, so me, I'm always connecting the dots. So it could be fun. So, but for now, we're just going to be trying to do Zoom and, be like a Zoom room for the people in the room. And then everybody that's not in the room will be on the big screen. So that's kind of the plan. So if you would just really do me a favor and be as explicit as you can, not explicit in a bad way, just, intentional as you can, I guess is the right word, with making sure that I know where you're going to be and when you're going to be there. That would be really helpful for me to make sure I'm planning and doing everything properly. So any other final words, Rob? Again, thank you very, very much. I appreciate you. I'm looking forward. I think I'm going to pop into that thing. Actually, I've already ordered my headset, so I'm down for this. I'm down for this journey. So Dick Buck, did you want to say something, buddy? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering one thing. Ricky said he wears multiple hats, and I've only seen him wear one hat.
Oh, so he's busting your chops, Ricky. Okay.
Yeah, I could tell you, Dave, I would just tell people, tonight, 7 o'clock, by the way, Tyler, that for you, it's 8 o'clock your time on the East Coast. They say the opportunities aren't missed, they're just passed on to those who are ready. And so it's, half an hour of your time. Check it out if you like it. If you don't like it, that's great. There will be no hard sales pitch. We don't do that. It's just information. And, I'll go back to how we started this whole call, because David is such a visionary. He said, comfort zone, right? And I have if you've ever looked at my Facebook feed, I have a picture up there that says a comfort zone is a place where your dreams go to die. And so we're in a unique time right now where our world is changing, and you're either going to get left behind or you're going to be part of the new thing. And I would suggest, just check it out. No harm, no hard sell. And hopefully you like what you see. If you don't, then we'll still be friends. Thanks again for your time and your attention, guys. God bless each and every one of you.
Thanks, Rob. Okay, the meeting is officially adjourned, except that remember, if you want to capture the chat, to download the chat afterwards. I'm unmuting everybody, so you're free to, say goodbye, say whatever. I'll keep the line open, or the meeting open for a bit. Marv, sorry you came in late. Marv does alkaline. He's my drug dealer, my alkaline water guy, as well as other types of stuff. So, but thanks, Marv.
Drug dealer.
Ricky's displaying his multiple hats.
Yeah, I know. Ricky's always don't get him started. He'll be a distraction for the next 20 minutes. So
You win, Ricky.
But anyway, I thank you guys for coming. Thanks for supporting this. If you enjoyed this, or you have some ideas on new things in these areas that you think are transformative or opportunities, again, if you believe in yourself, you believe in opportunity, and if you don't believe in yourself, you don't believe in opportunity. So I think we have infinite possibilities out in front of us if we can see them. So I'm looking forward to staying on the journey and continuing, being a vision warrior, changing the world one dream at a time. I want your dream to be as big as possible. So I want to figure out ways that I can help you, or if you can help me figure out ways to help you, that's cool too. So anyway, post anything else in the chat you want. Thank you again, Rob. And again, we're 1 minute early, so you can bail or you can hang around. But love you guys. Have a good weekend. It's supposed to be beautiful in Dallas, so get outside and
Dick,
enjoy.
not only do I physically wear multiple hats, but I've been a self-employed entrepreneur since 1994 and a believer in multiple streams of income. So physically and spiritually, I wear multiple hats.
Yeah, you do. I love Ricky Jean, by the way, if anybody hadn't figured that out yet. He's now one of my heroes. So you got, and everybody here. I mean, I appreciate
Great
everybody.
job, Rob. Great job, David.
Thanks, Randy. Appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Thank you
Paul.
very much.
Thanks for joining in again. I'm honored that you want to still connect with me after all these years.
I gotta, now that I know Fridays are set, I'm gonna block that, so I'll have that for sure.
Perfect.
I gotta find out more about your Wednesday thing. So.
All right.
Thanks a lot. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Thanks, Paul. What did you throw up there, Mark? What were you showing me?
This is a Commodore Commodore
Computer. Oh.
processor, CPU.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, Mark
That's
is,
one of my old hats.
yeah, if you listen to Mark's Warrior versus Zombie, he was the guest on Warrior versus Zombie #7. That's why at one point he had Warrior #7. He talks about his history. We have Paul, you would appreciate it. He's been around as long as we have in the tech world. So
Can't find a battery for my SR50.
I'm gonna have to break out I got a box of all this old stuff and old phones. You know, I was planning to build a shadow box. And
Yeah.
I got rid of all mine.
There's
So,
a yo-yo for Windows 2000 launch.
So Paul, I got, before you leave, I wanted to, some people don't believe me, but I've talked about my, I think Rob mentioned the bag phone, but actually